Hello and welcome to this episode of BYOB.
Hello.
Bring your own books, booze, boys.
We have a boy. Yay!
We have the trifecta today. This is awesome. I am Nola Nash. She is
Laura Kemp, and he is
Robert Gwaltney.
We are so excited to have our friend Robert Gwaltney joining us today. Robert, your book has taken off like a shot, and it is just so deserving of every accolade that it's gotten. I thoroughly enjoyed reading it. It was fantastic. So we're going to talk a bit about that. But before we get to the book, why don't you let folks know a little about you?
Sure. Well, I live in Atlanta, Georgia. By day, I work as vice president of Easter Seals. I'm responsible for providing oversight of our early education and care services. We serve children 6 weeks up to 5 years of age. All of our children are living at or below poverty, and about 30% of our children have a diagnosed disability. And in all the hours between, I am a writer of Southern fiction.
Phenomenal writer of Southern fiction. Let's add that to it, because this is Robert's new book. This is your debut, and it is really hard to believe that this is a debut novel. This is so good. The Cicada Tree is amazing. It is Southern fiction. It's got a little bit of that paranormal twist in it that Laura and I like to have in our books. So you can bet this was definitely one that was highly anticipated by both of us. So we're glad to see that it's getting all the attention that it deserves as well, because we thought it was fantastic. The buzz. That cicada buzz. And I have to tell you, it was, last summer the cicadas were awful here. And, different parts of the country get them at, different times. And I was telling Laura, I've lived in Tennessee through 2 kind of cycles of this. This past one wasn't nearly as bad, but this past one, I had one that got into my house and I couldn't find it. I could hear it, but I couldn't find it. I had a black table and chairs, and it was on one of the table legs. And so I couldn't see it. Like, I'm just looking everywhere and blended it right in. Another time, my other encounter with cicadas, it was like the big one. And my youngest daughter loved them. She thought they were great. Kind of like Annalise, they're kind of just everywhere. And she's just like, this is what we have here. And she's like, I don't know, 4. Loved it. Until we were driving down the interstate and I had the windows open because the AC had gone out in my car. And one flew through the front window, bounced off of my ear and into the back seat with her. And she's shrieking. We're going like 70 miles an hour. And it's
you should write your own book about
that freaking cicada in the car. So,
cicada encounters.
That was my close encounters of the cicada kind.
I don't have any. Are they in the Northlands? Do they live up here?
Well, I think it's possible. I don't know how prevalent they are. I mean, I know that, of course, here in the South, I mean, we have them every summer, but then you've got your 7, your 13, year broods that have
ours are 17 years, I think.
And 17, there's 17.
I don't ever see them.
Right?
Yeah, maybe different broods have like a different letter. It's like brood X and brood whatever.
Yeah.
So keep track of them all, but then they'll come out in different places at different times. I mean, we had the big one in Tennessee, but then I lived in Alabama, several years before, like late 90s. And there was one then. And I was like, oh my God, I cannot get away from these freaking bugs. So it added to the kind of creepy factor for me reading your book because of my personal experiences with cicadas. And I love that the cicadas, even though it's the cicada tree, it's kind of the metaphor in the background of the book. And so please, folks, do not think this is a creepy book about bugs. It is not a creepy book about bugs. It is a creepy book about people. And I love the metaphor of the cicadas. And how did that one come to you?
The Cicada Tree itself, I think, was inspired by a summer when I was a boy. I might have been maybe about the age that the protagonist, Annalise, knew on. We were covered up in Southwest Georgia in my hometown of Cairo with cicadas. They were everywhere. And I was fascinated. I would pull the shells off. I would put them on me. I put them in my hair. just like the characters do in the book. So I think that's really, I knew that I wanted to incorporate cicadas early on when I was going to tell the story. And I wanted them, to have their own mythology. When I wrote the Cicada Tree, I really sort of thought of them that, it's nymphs beneath the ground. And for years and years, they're just listening to everything that's going above. And they're just eating people's secrets. And they're waiting for that right moment where they can come up through the earth and set wrongs right and sing out all the things they know.
I love that.
I love the listening
It's
ears.
very mystical.
Yes, very much so.
I
Very
mean,
much so. There are some great characters in this book as well. You've got some fantastic, just interesting, flawed. I mean, I love flawed characters. And I love watching those flaws actually be some things that not only propel the story forward, but also sometimes come in handy. Some of these things, it ends up being something that ultimately serves them well. And it's kind of that accepting of our flaws, accepting the flaws in others. There's some loss, there's some tragedy, and there are definitely some moments of redemption in the book. And I love how you've woven all of those things through a child's eyes. So Annalise Newell is our main character, and she's 11.
She's
correct?
11, right?
She's 11. And these characters that you've written, are they based on anybody you know? I mean, I know that's like a standard writer's question. Everybody's going to ask the writer, do you base characters on people you know? But these seemed to be so, you knew them so intimately well. I mean, they're so complex and they're just so layered that it's they seem familiar to you as you're reading. Like, to a reader, it's like we knew people like this, especially in the South. And Laura, I don't know, you can speak to that or not, but I knew people like these characters.
I imagine.
And it was just, they were so familiar, so it felt like I knew them myself. So I was wondering if perhaps these were kind of an amalgamation of people that you've known over the years.
I think that they are an amalgam really of people that I've known. Like for one of the characters that that I liked as a human being but found despicable was Minnie Jean Carter, who was the church organist. And she really, I've known a lot of Southern ladies like a lot of church ladies like Minnie Jean, and she is certainly hard to like. But there's no one person that I've based characters on. And really too, as a writer, I've taken a look at, they're an amalgam, but also I think it's hard as a writer not to throw bits and pieces of yourselves through all of your characters. Really.
Yeah, absolutely.
So I think that those things that I see as redemptive in myself, I put in people, and then those parts of myself that I think might be unflattering that I could work on. I've magnified those things and I've put them into other characters as well.
I think that's something that readers don't necessarily, that they don't know, but because they don't know us as intimately as we know ourselves. But very often that is something that happens, I think sometimes almost unconsciously with authors sometimes too. I know I've talked to people who have read my books and know me well and are going, that's you. Like, oh, I guess it is. Does that happen to you, Laura?
Yeah. I mean, in my books, first person, I've made no qualms about that. The protagonist is based on myself as a 25-year-old. And I think I worked through a lot of stuff through the course of the 3 books that I wrote about her internally, my own stuff, my own flaws, my own, and progressively in each book, I think she gets a little stronger. And I hope that I have too. So yeah, I think it's therapeutic. All sorts of things are going on with us as writers as we're developing these characters. And to say that there's not a part of us in every character that we create, I think is, I don't know if that's true, if that can be true to write a well-developed character.
I mean, you certainly have to spend a lot of time with them, and you have to really feel as if you know them 3-dimensionally. I think that people that don't know you try to make assumptions about who you might be as a person, and then those people that do know you try to find you in themselves in your writing.
Absolutely. And it's interesting to me when you've written something and, when a book comes out, it's been years since that manuscript was first written and you first sit down, people lose sight of that. The general reading public sometimes loses sight of about how long ago in that writer's past that book was actually being conceived of and written. And it's interesting for me to look back at manuscripts, at stories, at characters, and think about how my life has changed, how I have changed, what I've gone through, and how I might write that character differently if I were to do it now, and how much of that present moment is actually responsible for that character's development and the qualities that I've given them. And then kind of looking at other things that I've written and watching my own progression through characters and through storylines. And it's kind of an interesting time capsule, I mean, it really
is, because you're one person when you begin to write a project that's as lengthy as a novel, and you're quite a different person at the other end of it. I think you do change quite a bit. When I go back and I read the beginnings of the Cicada Tree, there's an innocence that unravels throughout the book. And I go back and I think, oh my gosh, some of those moments are so sweetly done. And I think, have I become so jaded that will I ever be able to recreate that innocence again, in a book? I don't know. We'll see. But I do marvel at how the novel starts, and there's a sweetness in parts, between Annalise and her dear friend Etta May. And of course, the book progressively gets darker, which is, a thing I love. I love those dark places in literature.
But I love too the way that it loops back to the sweet moment between the two of them again. It's a darker, sweet moment, and it's a different. Everything has changed for them. But I do love that book ending.
I love bookends. I do love where you can sense. I think that it's certainly an easier device to show the progression of a protagonist, at the beginning and the end. And I do love book endings. I do love echoes in a chapter too. I think that everything needs to mean something, and everything needs to build on the next thing that's going to happen.
Absolutely.
I think if you do that, one of the reasons that I think it's difficult for me when someone says, "Would you like to read something?" I can only really read something within the first 3 chapters because everything is so layered. It's like a house of cards. So, you're going to give spoilers away if you go too far into the book.
Yep. I'm the same way. Anytime anybody asks me to read anything, I usually start with the first page of the book because things start to happen very quickly, and things happen very quickly in this book as well. And that's one of the things I really liked about it is you are turning pages very fast. I'm trying to figure out, I'm trying to get ahead of you as the author to see if I can figure out where you're going with it. And then I'm wrong. And so then I want to see what went wrong. Why was I not able to figure it out? And it's such a quick book. So I can absolutely see why you wouldn't want to just kind of open to chapter 6 and start reading, because that is you're going to give too much away. You're exactly right.
Yeah.
Now, is there a reason, Robert, that you came up with the name Annalise? Of course, I have to ask because of my daughter.
Right, you have a daughter named Annalise, and her
spelled the same way almost.
Right, yeah, and so it's not a traditional spelling. So the name Annalise, I don't know. Names are so important to me, and
they are.
I just brood and worry over them. What should this character?
The lyrical quality of the name. It has to be lyrical for me too.
Yeah. You have to, and it has to complement the other characters' names. It can't be too similarly situated to other names. Really, they have to be very distinct. If you don't want to have 3 people in a room at the same time and their names all start with an R,
right?
It's confusing.
I know.
But names I think are so important. I don't have any personal close connection to the name Annalise. I had a great grandfather who was named Claxton Long, and I used his name.
That's a great name
to give to Annalise's father. I think that's the only Oh, and there's a character, a little boy, Levin Banks Darlington, and his first name is a family last name.
Okay.
We have some Banks in the family. I just thought that would be a really cool.
Mhm.
I do that
cool
too sometimes.
name for
I
a boy.
tie in family names or
Yeah.
people that I've known, and
Little Easter eggs for you and your family.
yeah, then people like to see it when they open the book. Oh, is this, this person, or is this person? I've had readers enjoy that too, but I really liked seeing my daughter's name spelled almost the exact same way. So that was really intriguing to me. So I had to ask if there was a reason.
And it's a pretty name.
It is, isn't it? Darn it. Yeah, she shortens hers to Anna, A-N-A. And sometimes I wish I had done A-N-A, A-N-N-A, because a lot of people call her Anna. But it's Anna, just with one N. So
It's just a beautiful person last name.
You can spell it a million ways. So
absolutely. Now, Robert, you have been kind of everywhere, kind of making the circuit here, talking to lots of different people. You've got kind of your virtual book tour thing going on. Tell us some things that you've been doing, things that you've got on the horizon.
Yeah, it's been busy. I'm glad, so I'm doing things like this, which is a lot of fun. I love to be able to zoom in and do the book club and speak with other authors about the book and just about the process of writing. I got to go to some in-person events, which was wonderful. So I actually have things scattered, throughout. I think maybe as far into October of this next year. I mean, things are quiet, but there'll be a smattering of things. And if there are other opportunities to be able to schedule things as I move forward, I'd like to be able to do that. Certainly.
That is, for anyone who is interested in seeing Robert, please go. Your Facebook page, I know, has got a lot of your events on there. You had a graphic on there with all of those events on their website as well. So
that they can learn information about me by visiting robertlgwaltney.com. I don't think I have the event schedule on. Typically, I'm really good about them on Facebook several days out or weeks before, just posting things that are going to be happening coming up.
You're good at promotion.
Yeah, like I did with, I think we posted BYOB, a couple of weeks ago, started to spread the news about that.
Yes. And I'll post again the day that it broadcasts. So.
And Laura and I were just firming up plans today for something that we are going to be doing this summer. I am excited because you and I are actually going to be in the same place for the very first time, ever.
We've never met in person.
No,
we need to have it videotaped or something.
I know.
Crazy.
I mean, we've known each other for what? 4 or 5 years?
Never met in person.
No.
Never. We only live 7 hours apart. So that doesn't seem that long.
I know.
That far of a drive. But it's going to go to Killer Nashville.
Yes, we're going to Killer Nashville, and we're super excited about that. The keynote speaker this year is Hank Philippi Ryan, who we both love. Some great names are going to be there. Killer Nashville is a wonderful conference for authors, but also it is open several times during the conference to the public. So they always partner with an indie bookstore, and there are readers can come and buy books there, have them signed by the authors, and even the awards dinner. You can, as a public, buy tickets to go watch all of these fabulous authors win their awards. So Killer Nashville is a great conference for anyone that has not been. You're a thriller writer, suspense writer in any way. It's the conference for you. There's some great folks there. So Killer Nashville is fantastic. And we will both be there along with a couple of other of our friends that we know. Terry Shepard will be there. And our friend Ben, who's been on this show. Maybe Robert will stop.
Maybe. It sounds like a good time.
It's a great time. It really is a lot of fun. And they do give you some time during the conference as well to get out and explore Nashville a little bit, which is actually,
I'm scared Nola's going to take me out.
Well, last year I got to have dinner with Michelle and with Benny Sims, whose novel won Best Mystery last year. And we got to hang out and get to see them in downtown Franklin, which is just 10 minutes from where the conference is being held. So it's going to be a good time, and Laura and I are looking forward to that. So I'm so excited that this is working out.
Yes.
Well, before Yes. And we were like, what do we sign up for? Which workshops do we want to do? All these good things.
How that is
It's always the fun part of the
friend.
conference.
Like, I can do it by myself. It's okay, but I don't want to.
No. And I've got some special things I have not announced yet and will not announce just yet that I'm working on for Killer Nashville as well. So it'll be fun. And Laura knows about it, but we're keeping it under our hats for a little while. We will reveal all at some point. But for now, so that was kind of our book news. Let's put the graphic up after we talk. Because this is how we do it.
Well, scared me for a moment. Breaking news. Oh my goodness.
What happened? The cicadas are back. My hair.
I mean, locusts are one thing. They're smaller. Those cicadas, man. Oh, God. So speaking of what we're reading, and of course, Laura and I have read the Cicada Tree and love it. So what are we reading now? Let's see. Let's talk about what we are reading. You guys got anything in particular that you have that you're getting into now?
Yeah. So I'm reading Kimberly Brock's The Lost Book of Eleanor Dare, which is really good.
Ooh, I've heard a lot about that.
Oh, yeah. It's just a lovely work. And I'm a fan of Kimberly's writing. I loved her debut novel, The River Witch. So I love this new book. I think it's going to do really well. So if you're looking for a great book to read, The Lost Book of Eleanor Dare.
Wow.
Laura,
And I feel kind of bad because I've been editing. Well, my third book is coming out May 24th. So I've been editing, and all I see is my third book. So I haven't been reading.
And that is
Shameful mute.
Perfectly good excuse for not having anything reading. And I've kind of been doing some of the same thing, but I have also been reading Karen White's newest book, The Shop on Royal Street. Is a continuation of her other series. Not really, I mean, it's some of the same characters, but it's like a break in the series and kind of a detour, I guess. The Shop on Royal Street, of course, takes place in New Orleans. And the main character's name is Nola. It's not me, but
there you go.
I feel connected to this character by name. So it's a great book as well. Nola comes into town. She buys a fixer-upper, and she's determined to get this particular house back on its feet. And most people are like, this is probably more than you can handle. The DIY part, not so much more than she can handle. The ghosts, however.
Ooh, we always like for ghosts.
So it, of course, has got ghosts in New Orleans and all of the good things that make me happy. So I'm really excited about The Shop on Royal Street by Karen White. So a couple of books there for you to add to your to-be-read list. Chip away at those. This one is very, very, it's lighthearted and it's funny. I mean, it's a light ghost mystery kind of thing. I mean, it's not quite a cozy, but it's definitely a bit more on the lighter side. So even though they're ghosts, it's a fun ride.
Yeah, I love her writing.
Oh, she's great. She's absolutely wonderful. And so I believe I'm going to have the chance to interview her too for Dead Folks Tales here coming up. So that'll be fun for the other podcast to get to talk to Karen White. So we're working on scheduling that one as well. So Robert, best place to find you is Facebook, I would imagine.
Yeah, you can. I have a Facebook account, Instagram account, and I think you can link to those accounts if you're having trouble finding me by visiting robertlgwaltney.com.
Excellent.
Wonderful.
And you can find Laura on Kemp, which is her Facebook group page, and all sorts of good things coming up with the launch of the third and final installment in the Lantern Creek series. That is coming out. Great book. I had a chance to advance read it. Yes, we're going to have a party. I always love our book launch parties. They're so much fun. We have a good time.
Dip and punch, right?
Streamers, balloons, confetti, confetti cannon. Really go big. So we've got some fun stuff coming up for Laura, and I've got some things coming up towards the end of the summer. It's going to be a lot of fun. And so closer to August, we will be getting some more news on my site as well. But if you want to see what's going on in my world, Nola's Second Line is the Facebook group to be on. And all the announcements and things like that come from there. So jump on over to those groups. Go follow Robert. You will not regret it. And make sure that you pick up your copy of The Cicada Tree. Robert Gwaltney, it has indeed been a joy. Absolutely.
It has been.
So glad to have you.
With you.
Great.
Have a great day.
Thank you for having me on.
Oh, you're welcome.
You're welcome anytime. Come on back. We enjoy the heck out of you. You know, I love ya.
Thank you.
All right. Thanks for joining us on BYOB. This has been a copywritten podcast of Authors on the Air Global Radio Network.